Hey everybody, good morning. We just asked we have 7 minutes to get this figured out, so.
Are you on mute?
Okay, both
No.
of us. You're the only one who should be speaking right now. Thank you, Sarah. Hey Vince, why don't you say something?
Okay, guys, we're going to get this thing rolling here in 5 minutes. We are going to, Gina, you're going to control the mute, right, for everybody?
Correct.
And then Scott, Daryl, Carrie, Heather, those of you that I'll be asking to speak on different subject matters, Gina will control that and turn your guys' mute button off so we won't have any background noise from everybody else. So we thought that the only people that would be visual would be the people that were the hosts that were speaking, but it looks like if anyone selects visual, they can be visual and we'll see them also. So this is gonna be our first one with up to 500 people, so we'll see how this works out, but hopefully everyone will be able to hear us, and hopefully we'll get a lot of great information out there for you. So we're gonna ask you guys, don't be asking a million questions. You can shoot in text messages on this thing, and we've got Sarah and Gina and Maggie will be looking at those, and Gina, while other people talk, will be giving me notes on those so I can read through some of those, and we'll try to get answers back to all those. This is going to probably, I'm not positive we're going to get through all this in an hour. We'll see. We'll run through this as fast as we can, but we've got an hour and a half on this Zoom call, so we can go till 10:30 if we need to. So I appreciate it. I think I saw a minute ago we have 176 participants on this thing right now. And I show up as Gina. I think that Gina's probably like, oh my God, that's the worst I've ever looked.
Okay, so no one should be able
Scott still shows up as Scott.
Okay, 1 second. I have to try and unmute everybody and mute them and take away their control to unmute themselves. There we go. Now you're good.
I'm on your machine though. Can you?
Now I do it.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up, those of you I can see if you can hear me. Perfect. Thank you. Everyone else should be on mute. So we've done a couple of these, but we've done them with 15 people, not with 300 people. So we're gonna get through this thing hopefully here. Give us a couple more minutes. It's 3 till 9. We will start sharp at 9 o'clock because we got so much going on here. So
Maybe before we start, you can ask everybody to hide their video. Because I'm not seeing, there's not as, I thought I had.
Sarah, give me a head shake, or Heather. We've got a lot of people that have video on, not just the host. Question is, if they all hide the video within those of you who are the hosts, Scott, Daryl, I think Maggie and Carrie should be popping on here. Can you confirm both of them are on the phone real quick on this call right now for me?
Who? Scott and Carrie are both there.
Carrie's there and Maggie?
Yep, Maggie's there.
Okay. My question is, give me a heads up. Okay, I see Carrie. I think we're okay. They're on the front page. Heads up, every one of you that Sarah, Scott, Daryl, Carrie, do you see all of us on the screen right now? Give me a thumbs up if you see all the people I just mentioned. So the only person I'm not seeing on the screen is Maggie.
Maggie's there.
Maggie's
She's right here.
So iPads only can do 9 and computers can do more. Okay, up to 49, I think.
49.
All right, guys, it's 1 minute here. We're gonna get started.
Can you ask everybody to turn off their videos?
Can everyone turn off their videos except the people that are gonna speak? Looks like good. Wow, you guys are listening. They're going like popcorn. $264 participants. 1 more minute. Well, what just happened here? Join?
Whoa, yeah. No,
Cancel.
no, yeah. You don't want to
Okay.
cancel it.
She was trying to take me to another meeting. Okay, what do I do here?
Well, what is happening?
Hold on a second, guys. We're having technical difficulty.
Everything on their screen included will be recorded. Oh man, someone is screen sharing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's all just plug in. Okay, Maggie, we see you now also. Sandy, could you go to audio only, please? Get rid of the video link. And then I lost Carrie somewhere, but maybe she'll come back in the picture if Sandy goes out. Okay, guys, we're going to get rolling. It's 9 o'clock here. We've got a lot of information we're going to run through. You see Carrie on your screen?
Yes, Carrie's
Okay.
there.
So maybe text Sandy and ask her, tell her how to get out of audio or video. Yeah. Hey guys, how you doing? I want to start this off first of all, talking about obviously the saddest part of all of what's happened here is our beloved friend and colleague Ralph Marasco passing away last Monday night in his sleep. And I know Nico's had numerous calls and texts, and we're gonna get the dogs out of here. Never seen Shannon move so fast. But let's keep Nico and his family in our prayers and thoughts. Ralph was clearly an icon in this industry. He was a mentor to so many people. And I think just the coolest thing about him is he just loved helping and giving to people, expecting nothing in return. So let's please keep Ralph in your thoughts. I was with Nico Friday evening around between 4:30 till 7:30 or 8. We were on the phone with the medical examiner, and we're trying to figure out, did he die of a heart attack or did he die of the coronavirus? And at that time, they did say he died of the coronavirus. So what they had told us on that phone call, and we've got from other medical advice, is that if you were around Ralph, please self-quarantine yourself, even if you're not having symptoms, for 2 weeks from that period of time. Lots of questions came into me and others about Nico. Nico was tested. He would have not normally got tested because he didn't really have symptoms to get himself tested, but the medical examiner's office had him going to get tested on Saturday. His results came back on Sunday and he tested negative. So that's great news for all of us and great news for Nico. Nico and I, because I was around Nico quite a bit last week, they both are staying at home and self-quarantining through the balance of this week. So please keep Ralph in your thoughts and prayers. Nico, I think he sent out a number of messages that you've seen, but there will be a celebration of life because we can't have big funerals at this point in time on Ralph's birthday, July 11th. And something I think is pretty cool is the mayor has told Nico that July 11th will be declared as Ralph Marasco Day for the city of Omaha. So that's a cool thing, but a great friend and colleague to many of us has been lost here. So please, let's support Nico as he moves through this very difficult time. It seems like every day a new challenge comes. The Omaha Area Board of Realtors sent out an email. I want to say it was 3:30ish on Saturday, which brought an onslaught of texts and calls from many of you asking what that meant. And there was a conversation with a couple of us brokers yesterday, and we got some clarity from the board. Basically, the board doesn't have the ability to mandate, which is what many of you thought this was, no showings, no opens and activities that we can and can't do. It was their recommendation. Basically, our policy has not changed on this situation of open houses and showings and listings over the last week and a half, almost 2 weeks now. And so the board letter is not a mandate. What it is a recommendation. We would have appreciated being informed prior to this. It kind of caught us a little off guard, but I understand the intent of what they're trying to do. They're trying to be cautious and everything. But where we're at is, for the last 2 weekends, we have strongly recommended you do not do open houses. In fact, if you do an open house, we don't want that to be as part of our ad, to be honest with you. We don't believe it gives the image right now and these times to the marketplace and to the public that we want to project. We do know that we've got some builders and some vacant houses where people still want to do things. And if you want to do that and advertise those on your own social media sites or separately within the World Herald or something like that, that is clearly up to you. And we're okay with you doing that, but we're not going to put that within our open house ads. If you're going to do that, please, please, please take every single precaution possible. Make sure that things are wiped down, lights are turned off, doors are open, so you don't have people coming in there and touching handles and light switches and surfaces. We're also telling people, when it comes to, so that's the open houses. We're really recommending you don't do them, especially if they're existing homes. I don't think it probably gives the right image to our other clients and to other parts of the public right now. That's my perspective only. You all may have a different perspective on that. When it comes to showings, we're saying show serious buyers only. Don't show people that are just out looking, that aren't pre-qualified at this point in time. Our recommendation is don't have them have kids running through there, which are more likely to be touching surfaces and light switches and all those type of things. We've sent out a number of, I think, Gina, we've sent out 2 or 3 different sheets to you guys. I think we've even marketing, and Maggie, give me a heads up if that's true. I think has even branded one of those in Berkshire Hathaway, that so you can share that with your clients in regards to best practices and common sense on this, which is take sanitizers, wear gloves, wear booties, have the seller have all the lights on in advance. Let's not tell buyers and buyers agents don't be touching door handles, have the closet doors open. So all those type of things. So you guys have some sheets on that, but we are not telling you at this point in time, do not show houses. We think there's a lot of serious buyers out there. In fact, I'm quite honestly beyond shocked that we're going to have over 1,100 new pending transactions in the month of March. And that includes more failed deals than we normally would have. So the activity in the month of March was incredible. So I think that's a good news for all of us out there. And I think there's a couple things that are really driving that. Low interest rates and interest rates as of yesterday. Heather, I think you've got these rates. If I've got these wrong, please tell me. I know that they are getting a little stricter on credit scores for FHA and VA. Scott's going to be setting on a call for me this afternoon, kind of walking through that with Prosperity Mortgage to get us more updates on that. And when we're done with that, we'll shoot that out to you guys. But yesterday, interest rates on a 30-year conventional note through Prosperity was, with no points, 3 1/8, which is an incredible rate. 15 years was 2.875, so 2 7/8. But FHA and VA have kind of creeped up a little bit. FHA on the 30-year was 3 5/8, so 3.625 with 1 point, and VA was on a 30-year was 3.625 with no points. So Levi is updating us daily on these things. We'll continue to put these numbers in our reports to you guys. We're going to continue to get emails out to you guys at least 3 times a week, kind of giving updates as things continue to change and what's going on. So, in regards to that board letter, I think it was done with the best of intentions. Wish it was communicated maybe a little bit different to give us a little bit of some heads up as to what was going on, but that's not a mandate. If you have any questions on that, please reach out to Brian or Scott or me or Heather, Sarah, or any of us managers, Mark, Daryl, and we'll be happy to chat with you and talk with you about that. So let's continue to move forward with that. Scott, I'm gonna let you dive into what we've received tons and tons of questions on over the last couple of days and really the last couple of weeks. There's been a number of things coming through Congress in this last stimulus package, which I believe was finally signed off on Congress on Friday, talking about the loans that are available. One of the biggest things, I've got a lot of people saying, well, I don't really want a loan that I've got to pay back. So I think if you could kind of talk about the stimulus package, the benefits that you see to agents, who qualifies for that, and then probably most importantly is what we understand to be the forgivable part of that loan, which is I think the most important part to the agent. So Scott, I'm gonna let you take away and kind of run through some of that stimulus package stuff.
Yeah, so as much as people like to complain about how slow government can work, this is actually one of the example of them actually going very quick. We had our first confirmed case of COVID-19 January 10th. On March 4th, they had already law. By March 27th, it had been passed. It's $2 trillion in stimulus money. It's 858 pages long. So if I don't know all of it yet, I apologize. There's kind of 3 components, part of it, which is There's a direct stimulus payment that you will get if you've paid or submitted your tax return at least for 2018 and 2019, and you qualify within the income. It's like 70. It's got little caps on what prevents you from getting that if you earn a certain amount over and above what the limits are. It's like $75,000 for one individual, $150,000 for a couple, and then it reduces itself as it gets up to about 190,000, 195,000. If you qualify for that, this is supposed to be a direct deposit of money that just comes right into your bank account based off direct deposit. If you have given a direct deposit to the IRS, otherwise it's checks. Direct deposit, of course, will be quicker on that. The second component is that for the first time, they've actually expanded unemployment insurance to cover basically 1099 employees, people who are self-employed, small businesses, and it now will provide a benefit to those people. It's a federal program with federal stimulus money that is paid into the state. Then the state needs to expand their unemployment insurance program to allow for this, which they are supposedly doing quickly. If you've had a recent disaster, your state's supposed to be in better position to do this. Nebraska just had one last year, so we're in pretty good spot to get this up and running. I actually talked to an agent yesterday who said that she had already applied for this and it had mentioned that within the application proceeding, is this for COVID payment? And so I don't know if she was able to get through it at that point, but it did have, or at least it recognized the fact that this COVID payment is available. The other part, and that's supposed to be about $600 a week for 13 weeks. It could be expanded. It's all going to depend on what's going on. The second payment thing that is the big one is the unemployment insurance, not unemployment, I apologize, is the SBA loans. So there are SBA loans that are now available for self-employed people, companies that have less than 500 employees, and that is based off of 2.5 times your payroll expenses. What goes into that is the question that Vince and I are getting asked a lot right now, and really we don't quite know what they're going to count or don't count. It's kind of like tax deductions with the IRS. You might as well throw everything at it and see what they accept. So if you have any expenses that you have, then you need to basically get all that together and you'll contact a local SBA lender. Almost every major bank in Omaha is an SBA lender. Core Bank is, First National Bank is, Great Western Bank is, any bank of substance is a SBA lender. So you can contact them. We don't know, they said that it's going to take a little time to get that set up. I know that a couple of agents have said that they called their lender and their lender wasn't even aware of this program yet. So they're learning about it too. So it's going to take a little time for them to get caught up. But the benefit to that is that it's 2.5 times payroll. That's the loan amount that they give you. And if you will pick out a period of time within the prescribed period, which is basically February up to July. You pick an 8-week period of that time, and you'll submit that in. You'll say, this is my period. They'll if they approve the loan, they give the money to you, and it's forgivable. So you don't have to pay it back. There's no interest that has to be paid on it. The only thing that could potentially affect your ability to have it forgiven is if you don't follow the prescribed standards of that loan. One of which is you can't take the money and then fire all your employees if you had employees. You have to follow along with it and keep people employed if you have them employed. But it's really set up to cover kind of the gig economy at this point, which is the Lyft drivers, the Uber drivers, and then self-employed people like real estate agents, salespeople, people that don't get salaries from an employer. And so that's what it's set up right now.
Scott, a simple part of that is if you've got a PC and LLC, which many of our people do,
right.
You pay yourself a salary, that's obviously an expense. So you may not, it's not that you have to have other employees. You could be the employee in and of yourself.
Or you can just be a self-employed person. If you generate all of your own income and you haven't set up a PC or LLC, you're just self-employed, then that qualifies too. Whether you can get your salary for that, that's a question that we don't know yet. It might just be expenses in that case. And there's also a cap on it. If you're making over $100,000 a year, that that income wouldn't count, but other expenses related to it would, such as, rent, interest on mortgage, utilities, debt payments, those kind of things. One of the questions I've got asked about, which is Zillow payments. If you've got a contract for Zillow that you're paying a certain amount per month, whether that's something that you can submit it, I'd say absolutely try, because we don't know if they're going to approve it or don't approve it. But that would be a cost that you would have to continue to do your business as you did it as of February of 2020.
And Scott, they're saying operating expenses, so we're saying 100% fees, buyer's agent fees, private office rents, any of those type of things. If you had those expenses in February, put those expenses in there and see what they can do. But there's a reasonable chance that those will be forgivable things. And again, doesn't matter if you're an agent on a team, doesn't matter if you're a team leader or an independent agent. Every one of you as independent contractors would have the right to qualify for this. Fair?
That's correct.
Anything else that you want to expand upon that? And so I guess I've got a little confusion on that. There was a loan that came out a couple weeks ago that I know a couple of our agents jumped on, but this is amended to that original loan that came out in that initial stimulus package about 2 weeks ago.
That was that original. It was like a $10,000 emergency loan that was also going to be forgivable. There was more standards as to what you needed to have it. You basically had to be set up more like a company in that case, not like a small self-employed person. And so that was that loan that came out that everyone could apply for.
So I'm seeing tons of notes, and I can't read all of them as they're coming through, but I saw Trina Shahan say that Realtor.com is forgiving 60% of what's due to them right now. So as we find out, and Zillow is cutting things in half, and I've heard that from a couple of people. So I don't have these to be facts, but as we get this stuff in, we will get a team together here to research this to find out other real estate related expenses, who's cutting things, what's going on, and so forth. So we'll continue.
My biggest recommendation is call your lender now and get going, because your lender's most likely going to be an SBA lender, and they should be getting information on this, and they're going to have the guidelines in the application. And once we see that, that's when we'll actually know what's going to be counted in this. But again, our point would be throw everything into it and see what can be approved, because it's forgivable.
If those of you, I know Sarah, Maggie, some of you guys are reading these notes. If there's a couple common notes, maybe once you take those, minimize those, shoot off a text to Scott so Scott can read those. Then Scott, I can let you get back there. Scott, the second thing that we've had some conversations about, ATS put out something in regards to electronic notaries. I've had conversations around the country with a number of people. And one of the things, guys, we're going to really encourage you to do is, much to my surprise, last Monday or Tuesday on a call that I had, one of the people on the East Coast, I think it was Virginia, but one or two states mandated that you can't do paper checks right now. So that the only way you could get things were by wiring money or direct deposits and stuff like that. So we're going to really encourage you. We do not believe that's going to happen here. That seems to be a little strict to me. But we do have a lot of you that we're still paying checks to. As much as many of you have begged me over the years to do direct deposit, the list is still pretty long of those of you that don't have direct deposit. So we're going to encourage those of you that don't have direct deposit, please maybe this week set that up. Stephanie, people can grab Stephanie in bookkeeping, and her or Carrie can help you grab that stuff. A number of things. Also, a number of the county offices are shut down in a number of states. So the Register of Deeds were closed. ATS has talked to our underwriters. Our underwriters, from my understanding, are going to go ahead and allow us to continue to close things. We can do them electronically in Douglas County. Not every county allows that, but even the ones that we can't do those electronically on, my understanding is the underwriters are going to allow us to go ahead and close those. And then when things open back up, they'll file those at that point in time. So we're not going to get closings delayed. I have talked to, before we get back to this electronic signature thing for you, Scott, I apologize. I've talked to broker owners in at least 6 different markets, California, Michigan, New Jersey, Nevada, Arizona, Kansas City, where they've had different levels of shutdowns. And the one thing that has been absolutely consistent in every single market to date is that pending transactions that we have, they're allowing those things to continue to close. Many of the lenders are now allowing to do drive-by appraisals. So they're working on anybody that's got a pending in the process, allowing those people to continue to work and the title companies to continue to close those transactions. There's not a state that I've seen. Some states, California really kind of has a shutdown that basically it is no showings, no opens. They're pretty strict on what they're allowing you to do or not to do. But I think that the countries realize that telling us we're going to have to put closings on hold for 2 weeks, 4 weeks plus, we would lose, in my opinion, 50+% of those, which would be devastating to the overall economy. I don't see in any sort of shutdown from one state to the next. And my understanding is now 2/3 of the country is on shutdown. Doesn't happen to be affecting us here in Nebraska right now, but I don't think it's unreasonable to think at some point in time that may happen. So what just happened here? Don't allow, right?
Allow. Just say allow.
Allow. Okay. Shannon's popping into her computer and killing me. 025602. Sorry about that, guys. I'm on Shannon's iPad and she's trying to do something at the same time, so she's messing with me. So the good news is we do believe that closings will continue to take place regardless. After Scott talks about these electronic notaries and what's happened here, both at a state level and kind of what some of the notaries that ATS is using that are done outside of the state, I'll jump into ATS and what we're doing for closings with them as we continue to move forward here. Scott, you want to hit the electronic notary, the Nebraska laws, and what we've heard from Carrie Clare at ATS?
Yes, sure. So basically, we'd already passed a Remote Notarization Act last year. It was supposed to be implemented in July of this year. But of course, under what was going on here, they wanted to move it up. So they moved to the Secretary of State, Bob Evnen, asked Bob to move it up from that July 1 start to a current start. He approved it. It has to go to the governor to do an executive order, which he's supposedly supposed to do here in the next couple of days. And with that, it allows for, again, remote notarization, so you don't have to have someone in front of you. One of the things that's been kind of an issue is even with that, some institutional lenders aren't allowing for it because they still want wet signatures, or they still have closing instructions that require people to be in front of them at that time. And Carrie was saying that the nice thing is that a lot of the lenders have switched very quickly here in the last couple of days. Wells Fargo is supposed to go next. And so once we get that, then you don't even have to have an in-person closing. You can actually do everything remotely, which will, be good to keep things moving along. So that's kind of what the status of that is right now.
So ATS, I think y'all know, for 2+ weeks has not allowed, sorry, I'm crossing off my notes as we go through these things, has not allowed agents to go into closings. We're continuing to tell people agents don't go to closings. At this point in time, let's continue to minimize our contact with people unless it's absolutely necessary. Sometime in the middle of last week, what we did is I think we have a huge competitive advantage here. We were talking about for a number of days of how do we get tents set up. One is we do have a tent set up down in Sarpy County for ATS to do closings down there to keep our closer down there distance from everybody else. But at Village Point, where ATS is mainly at, their offices still have those. And Carrie Miller will talk about this in a little bit here for what we're doing also, but they still have a table outside there for earnest deposit checks and paperwork to be dropped off and so forth. But I think the middle of last week, anyone that was having any sort of symptoms, we were having them come into the garage. They had a closer down there. They were taking the papers, letting the people get them, keeping a distance from them, and doing those basically out of their cars, quite honestly, not even having them get out of the cars. At this point in time, if anyone knows, Sarah, Maggie, Heather, Scott, Daryl, I think ATS are we doing all closings out of the garage at this point in time? Is that correct? Was that
me to unmute?
Scott, do you know?
Yeah, they are.
They are. So we're continuing to use the garage to do that. And that's where this electronic signature stuff is coming into play. But so they're continuing to move forward and doing everything we can to get these closings done. Carrie Clare, Carrie Clare, I see you. We're going to unmute you. Can you talk and give us an update?
Carrie, can you hear us?
Hi, yes.
Can you give us an update and correct anything that I may have said not correct?
No, you were mostly correct. The only thing that's different is a lot of the lenders are allowing hybrid closings, which is electronically signing all of the documents except for a handful that they want wet signatures on. So as of today, we have 3 or 4 more lenders that have allowed it. So we're trying to get most everything switched to what would be called a pre-signing, and only having the signers sign a handful when they get here. Everything is in the garage and will remain in the garage for now. Sarpy did add a tent, so there's a tent at the Sarpy office as well.
And I'm being told that I'm showing up as Gina, and that is true. I am. So it's the best she's ever looked at. Would you all agree? She doesn't agree though. Playing with you. So Carrie Miller, we're going to have you kind of walk next about where we're at on the admin, who's going to be doing what. I guess to start that off with, last evening for a couple hours, we did have a company come in and sanitize Do you have that verbiage for me
Yep.
that I can kind of read? Sanitize, probably mute Carrie again.
I got it.
Carrie Miller, you're on also?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so I'm gonna read this. Well, Carrie, why don't you run through kind of what, because you were in touch with the cleaning people and kind of what they did exactly with the cleaning they did and the mist and how that worked, and explain that system, then kind of walk into what we're going to be doing as we continue forward admin.
Okay. So they came through yesterday and they used an electrostatic charged mist that has a 1-minute kill time on the virus. It says it'll continue to kill on surfaces for 7 days. It's something that's approved by the CDC for killing COVID-19, and it's safe for us to return to our workspaces 15 minutes after application. So hopefully that place is clean now after that mist got sprayed all over in there.
And Carrie, they did, the gym is getting more use than it's had in the past. The gym was also done last night as part of that process, is our understanding. We are asking those of you going to the gym, sorry to interrupt you, Carrie, let's please minimize and keep no more than 6 or 7 people in the gym. Please try to keep a 6-foot distance for those other people in the gym. And if we're going to have someone down there wiping down the gym daily, probably twice a day, morning and afternoon, but that's not enough with the number of people with all the gyms closed that are going in and out there. So those of you, there should be there. I think we continue to have wipes and disinfectant down there. Please, before and after you use, wipe down everything from the handles to light switches or anything that you touch to be safe. Go ahead, Gina.
Were all private offices open for the cleaning?
Yes, they cleaning people have keys to the entire building, so they went into every single private office. So every office, all common areas, everything was done. That was the conversation I had on Saturday. Jay confirmed that conversation again with them over the weekend. And Carrie, I don't know if you had any additional conversations, but yes, our conversations was conference rooms, hallways, bathrooms, workout rooms, private offices, everything was done. And they said it will not damage your paper. So it'll attack the paper and kill the virus on paper, but the paper does not get ruined in that process. So that's kind of my understanding of that. Carrie, you can add to that if you'd like. Otherwise, go ahead with your update on admin and how our operations will be doing, and kind of, I guess, what we did last week and what we'll be doing specifically on how do we get earnest deposits, commission checks, and process things as we continue to move forward.
Yeah. No, that was a pretty good explanation. I don't know any more than that on the cleaning. So regarding kind of how we're functioning and working right now with everybody kind of in limbo and in different locations, we started about 2 weeks ago with a couple of our people from the admin office working from home. We're trying to keep everybody in the office as safe as we can so that we can continue to be there working and processing things. And so anybody that we feel like has the ability to really complete their daily tasks at home, we have working from home. And then the rest of us that we feel like, we've got to be around to help get things processed, because a lot of what we do is so hands-on, moving checks and being in the office to handle all that stuff. So we have the last 2 days since we've had the Village Point office shut down, we've all been kind of working from home, but we're a little bit in limbo right now. We haven't been cutting any commission checks yesterday or today because we don't have access to those machines that are at Village Point. And so we'll hopefully be back there tomorrow morning. And what, Vince, are you saying?
Yeah, please have some understanding and patience with us in this, guys, also, because we will be back to cutting those checks, as Carrie said, tomorrow. Carrie, also in that whole thing, talk about this whole slowdown. I think is a week and a half ago, I had asked you to put out an email to everybody in regards that some of the title companies don't have couriers running. So our delivery process is slowed down in that process also. So if you could also address that as part of this commission check process.
Sure. So, we just noticed, I don't know how many people saw that email I sent, but we noticed with this whole slowdown of all these businesses, other people, other brokers and title companies, people working from home, we're receiving commission checks from other people with a delay. And then we're trying to get those processed as quickly as we can. We're not really experiencing much of a delay in our office once it gets to us outside of the last 2 days. But, just all these other title companies and other brokers that have people working from home, they're not using courier services like they normally do. A lot of people are mailing the commission checks to us, which definitely delays the process. And I think we've seen kind of the same thing happen with earnest deposit checks, where we would normally call a courier to come pick up an earnest to take it over to a title company, and we're having to send some of those through the mail. So it's good to keep in mind with any checks that are going from point A to point B that there's probably a delay right now with the way things have been going. But our goal is to continue to stay on top of things. When we get back in the office tomorrow, we're going to have a lot of backlog to get caught up on, but I don't think we'll have much of an issue getting there. So, but yeah, we're going to continue to ask everybody to stay, no clients. Don't be asking people to come to the office and meet with you. We're trying to stay out of the office as much as we can so that we can keep the staff that's working in the office so that we can help. We need to continue to be able to do our jobs so that we can support all the agents. So we still have the table out in front of the reception area for clients. If somebody's got to swing by and drop off a check, checks, deliveries, couriers stopping by, we're just trying to eliminate as much contact with anyone as possible. And so we're asking people to leave those things at the table in the basket outside the front office at Village Point.
Yes, thank you, Carrie. I want to add to that a couple things. One is, we've been continuing to tell our employees the exact same thing that we're telling you as agents. And we did ask some people to leave the office last week that were in there that had flu-like symptoms. They said they did not have the coronavirus, but we still asked them to leave. We're asking the employees, in this case, we had to go find out who was around Ralph. If you've been around anybody that's tested positive, and by the way, we've only had within our organization 2 people test positive. It was Ralph, and it was another person that we disclosed to you. God, I want to say that was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And that person is fully recovered and is okay. And that person had not been in the office since convention. So it's been now, we're 3 weeks out since that person's been in the office. But we're asking if you've been in contact with anybody that has tested positive, please self-quarantine for 2 weeks. We're asking this of our employees also. If you're showing symptoms, we're telling our employees, please stay at home and work from home, and we'll have to figure out how to deal with that. But we're asking you guys as the agents the exact same thing. If you've been around anybody that's tested positive, please stay out of the office. Please do not meet with clients. Please self-quarantine yourself for 2 weeks. And if you're showing any symptoms, please stay out of the office and please don't meet with clients until you're feeling better. And you've talked to your doctor to get advice from them on when it's okay to go out and meet with clients and come back to the office. So we want to keep everybody as safe as possible. I guess the second part of that is we had some kids running around the office last week. We're going to ask you guys, we're not trying to be rude here, but please do not bring kids into the office. If they're running around, they're going to be more likely to touch walls and other things. We want to minimize the risk for everybody. Those of you coming to the office, if you got a private office and you've got to come in there, go in there, shut your door, don't interact with others. Those who don't have a private office or whether you have a private office, keep the 6-foot distance from everybody. Let's not be gathering 5 people at the front desk all chatting with each other. That's not in anybody's best interest. So if you're going to come in there and you need to come in there, please, let's do social distancing. Let's not go up to the doorway where someone's sitting 2-3 feet away from you. Let's not go up and lean on the front desk and have 5 or 6 of us gather around there. So the same exact things we're asking our agents to do in regards, our employees to do in regards to stay away if they came in contact with someone that's positive, if they're feeling sick symptoms, we're asking the exact same thing. So if you're in there and it looks like you're sick, we're probably going to ask you to leave the office at that point in time, because we want to do everything we can, use all the common sense, all the precautions we can to make sure that the staff, the admin, and you guys as agents are safe as possible. So that's kind of where we're at. So the kids saying, I know it's tough on you guys, but please, let's adhere to that if we can. Same thing in the gyms. Don't be bringing kids down to the gym. Everyone, please, I think, I'll confirm this to John, I think you've had to sign a waiver if you're using the gym from us to get into there. And so I'll make sure that, and we'll activate your file. But if you're going to use the gym, please make sure that you do sign a waiver for that, saying that if you fall on your head and hurt yourself, it's not our liability. So I appreciate that. Carrie, thank you very much for that update on what the admin's doing. And we will have people back in the office tomorrow now that we've had it cleaned. Question came up also. Our other office is getting cleaned. The only other office where we know anyone's been tested is the Regency office. So the Regent, that was a negative test, but we are going to go into the Regency office and we're going to have that cleaned. Should be this evening. So in Council Bluffs, in Sarpy, in Fremont, which has traffic, but less traffic. Again, if we have people being tested there, people that we think have been in the office sick, please, Jennifer, Sarah, whoever, Matt, reach out to me. And so we can address those on a one-off basis. So Regency will get confirmation, but I do believe from my conversation on Saturday will be being sanitized tonight. So everyone will need to stay out of there from 5:30 on. It obviously will get done a lot faster than our Village Point office was. Maggie, can I have you jump on real quick for me and talk about tech support? Tech support has been incredibly busy over the last week or two as we have more and more people working at home, trying to both get our employees to work from home and agents with their own computer issues and so forth, trying to work from home. So can you talk about how to tech first, but then piggyback on marketing and how do we get a hold of them and what's going on with those two departments, please?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So on the tech side, on IT, we do have a program called Bomgar. We can use that to remote to anybody's computer and help them. And that really allows us to be remote and help you guys without actually having to be in the office or touch your computers. So 99% of the time that's going to work. So if you email just the same tech.support line, you go into our ticketing system in a queue and we can help get you set up. And we're helping with everything from helping you kind of troubleshoot home printers if we need to do that. A lot of you guys are taking this time to set up campaigns in the resource center or clean up your marketing resource and things like that. So we can help you get logged in there, get logged into email, all those things. On the marketing side, it's the same. Dylan and Callie are both working from home. Most of what they do can be handled from any location or any office. So if you have marketing projects, we've seen a lot of, listing presentations, buyers books, things like that coming through. If you email marketing at BHHS-A&B, we can help you also. So we are still very much up and running and business as usual. Both those teams have been very, very busy over the last couple weeks. So we like that. So just keep sending things our way.
So what question do you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
Okay. She's bossing me around, but I'm not sure what she's bossing me around to do.
Carrie Miller wanted to say, we really want EDS made out to title, not to BHHS.
Yeah, so the earnest deposit checks, please, and Daryl, maybe you can talk a little bit about that, but make those earnest deposit checks directly out to the title company, possibly not to Berkshire. Not to Berkshire, yes. Daryl, can you talk about, I guess, love notes and how we're processing everything from a dot loop perspective, and then if you could maybe at the same point in time kind of run into the training classes with the Zoom classes and what we're doing there.
Yeah, hello, am I on?
Yeah, go ahead, we can hear you.
As far as the dot loop is concerned, this hasn't been affected, so we should be able to audit everything on a timely basis. As usual, if you're getting close to the closing and you don't think you've got everything resolved, feel free to send me or Tracy an email and we'll get on your loop right away and make sure everything is in good shape for you.
Does everyone hear Daryl well? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear him okay. Okay. All right.
As for training, we are doing training on Zoom classes. New agents coming in, I'm doing new agent orientation via Zoom meetings. Both Melissa and Mark are having very good attendance at their normal classes. So all the classes are still being indicated on our training calendar in the website, just like always. And there is a link in there so you can just like you joined this meeting today, you can click on the link and join whatever classes you want. They are the classes that we're getting commission approved training in the state of Nebraska are still going to get commission approved training through the Zoom classes. So actually we've had good attendance and it's made it actually easier for some of our agents from the remote offices to attend classes and not have to drive across town. So again, if you have any questions on that, you can contact me, Melissa, or Mark, and we'll be happy to get you hooked up on that.
This Zoom thing is something that really, and Daryl, you can pop in on this, but this is something that maybe we should have done in advance, be honest with you. This is something we will continue to do as we move forward, because where we have bad weather and stuff like that versus canceling a training class, it gives us the ability to go ahead and do these training classes. And what we've seen is the Council Bluffs and the SARPI and the other agents that are not at Village Point or Regency are popping in these classes more often than they would otherwise when they would have to drive over to the class physically. So we're seeing a lot of value in this long term. And so we think this has been something that's kind of been forced on us faster than we would like, that has value moving forward. Is that fair?
That's very good. And we do have it set up so, they can do the screenshot so they can still see everything that they would normally see in class. They can download handouts and forms that they want to take with them and so on. So they're really not losing anything other than the personal presence there. But so far, they've been very successful. I'm
Carrie Miller. Hey, thank you, Daryl, for your update. I appreciate it. Carrie, I guess questions are coming in on the hand sanitizer. You went back and forth on that quite a bit. We thought we had someone coming in at the end of the month at $450, including freight. And then all of a sudden, they're like, no, that's going to go to all the hospitals in Canada. And then we had someone at $650, but we didn't know if we had enough people to take that. We're happy to be the facilitator of that. We don't want to end up with cases and cases of hand sanitizers, but I would think as an organization that it's 20, in my understanding, it's 2,300 bottles that we buy. And I think the last cost we got, which we could get, was $6.50. So Carrie, I apologize. I actually am a little bit out of the loop on that. Could you give me a quick update on where we are on that? I don't know if we've ordered that or didn't order that, or what kind of, I just don't know where we're at on that. But could you answer that question, please?
Yeah. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
You're unmuted and we can hear you.
Good. So the sanitizer we ordered, which we ordered on Friday, it was $6.75 a bottle at our cost. So the guy told me that it was going to ship, I think the end of this week, and it was going to, the driver was supposed to pick it up somewhere in Utah, I think. And so he thought we would have it sometime next week.
We did order that. Okay.
Yep. And we have all, but I think we have like maybe 100 bottles left that are unspoken for. So anybody that wanted to get in on that, let me know.
Carrie, stay on there real quick. Question was some text coming into me. How do we pay agent bills and stuff like that? Some people I know we're hooked to their banks, but again, just drop off checks. We will be there again, processing that type of stuff. So drop off the check at the office, send it into the office. We're going to give you guys leeway on that. We're not going to be strict on getting those paid with, there's going to be some lenience on that. So is that correct, Carrie?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Heather, I think Sarah, we did one last week, and then Heather, we did 2 yesterday, and I think we have another Zoom class today on masterminds. Heather, Can you kind of pop in on the masterminds and kind of how those have went and kind of your input on that as we continue to move forward, please?
I think most people are kind of enjoying getting together and having a little bit of social interaction with other agents and seeing how they're feeling about what's happening currently right now. We've got some that have quit doing like the door knocking and gone to handwritten notes instead. I do have one agent that was talking about doing quarantine pop buys, with different types of sanitizers and stuff like that. It's just a really good time to reach out to your clients, even if you're not asking for the business, just checking and seeing how they're doing right now. It's just going to keep you in their forefront mind and know that you are thinking about them during this difficult time. Appraisals, we've been told the appraisers are getting a little lazier, I think just because of the fact that there's so many refis right now. That they can't keep up, so there's a lot of drive-by appraisals. So they're calling agents instead, asking them about what the house has rather than going into the houses, which could either benefit you or not benefit you in the situation. A lot of agents now are going to video, either embedding video into their listings or doing Matterport. So Matterport offered an extension on their special that they're giving us until the end of April. They're doing half off. So we've got that information if you need that as well. Government loans, I don't know if anyone's got anyone that's either transferring in or transferring out, but we've been told that those have been put on hold, so you may want to make sure that those are not going to be affecting you in any way. And
so the Matterport special that runs to the end of the month, that was for the month of March, is still half off, right?
Right, till the end of April.
We will put that in, Gina will put that in our email here as a follow-up to the sales meeting. We'll put that link in there for you to reach out to them if you'd like to do that, because we are seeing more and more people do that. We do think that's I guess Heather, tell me if you see that differently, but it kind of felt like it was kind of price specific. Under 300,000, they weren't really having as many of them do that, but 300 plus, a lot of their sellers, and then we're having that conversation. They felt that there was more value in that. So
I agree.
it
Just
looks
because
like
I think those
Maggie
houses are
just
selling
sent out the
faster.
link also. So perfect.
Yep, and that's about it. Just stay in contact with your past clients. We are seeing that Levi and some of the other loan officers with Prosperity are able to get their own appraisers in there quicker, and that they have beat a couple of our local lenders that are usually pretty good with their rates. So keep them in mind.
Yeah, we think they've done a good job. And the thing that's been best about that is every single mastermind group, there's been somebody that spoke up and said they've got a deal done for them quicker or help keep a deal together,
Right.
and or beat a rate. But I know, there was one last week that, and these rates have went, by the way, and I want to talk a little bit about the Fed rate relative to mortgage rates, but there was a rate that First National was at 3.5 with like $1,000 of cost, and they end up getting at 3.25 at Prosperity through Levi, with no cost. And we've heard that story time after time. So don't forget, you put them in there because they are putting the most important thing to me is they have their own appraisers, and they're focused on our business first and foremost, and refi secondary, where so many of these other banks are getting so far behind. And one of the reasons appraisers are behind is because they're focused on these refis that are so abundant out there. But rates did move tremendously. It was like crazy when the stock market went down to 18, 19,000 points. The bond market went down also, which was nuts. The bond market usually goes up when the stock market goes down. And everybody, what was it, a week and a half or so ago, it might have been 2 weeks now, the Fed dropped the short-term rate, the fund rate, to basically zero. Now that fund rate, we all got to understand, is short-term money. It's not a 30-year mortgage. So there's not a direct relationship between what the fund rate does and what mortgage rates do, because that's a long-term money. And it's really, the Fed rate's really there to stimulate the economy and businesses in the short run. So just because that went down was not necessarily meaning that mortgage rates should go down. But what happened is rates went from 3.25 to 4.25, which was completely irrational. I mean, and there's been so much irrational and illogical behavior in both the stock market and the bond markets, but those have came back down and have stabilized a little bit, other than we're seeing FHA and VA because they're tightening things. Those rates are moving up a little bit. So remember though, they have that program, the match or beat. If they can't match or beat, your client gets $1,000 from them. So they've been very, very aggressive on rates to this point. And I think, as I said, I think every single mastermind group, Sarah, we had someone even talking about it last week in our mastermind group. Every mastermind group has had somebody, one or two people, saying that they've had a great experience in that. So keep them in mind. We have a little bit more control pushing them in that process.
Should we be worried about government loans currently under contract?
Question is, should we be worried about government loans under contract? We'll get you an answer and get back to that. But my understanding is everyone keeps saying all these loans are being shut down. And from a couple of conversations I've had, that's not true, that these loans are continuing to move and go forward. So we do have a call again this afternoon that Scott will be on, that I can't be on because Heather and I will be in a mastermind group. But as we come off that call, getting updates on the banking world, we will get you an update. I'll have Scott put together an update for us to get that out to us later today. So thank you guys for that. Heather, thank you for those updates. But absolutely, we have found a lot of positive comments coming out of the mastermind groups. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, just give me a thumbs up or something, but I believe every single mastermind group, with the exception of the investment mastermind group and the new construction mastermind group, has been rescheduled and reset up after we stopped those for a week or two. And then over the next week or two, those will get, everyone will be in those calls. So please take time to get in those things, because I think, and it doesn't matter what the subject matter is, really, we're going to kind of talk through the activity that's going on in the marketplace here, how you're dealing with your buyers and sellers and clients, and how you're interacting with them, and how we're really making it through this whole thing. So that's really going to be the subject matter of just seeing how we're doing this, how we're working from home, and basically how our lives have changed. And to talk about that, Debbie DeGroat and I, Friday at, I think it's changed to 1:30. We need to get that link out today. So Friday at 1:30, Debbie DeGroat and I will be doing a webinar. Debbie did one last week across the country. We will get out yet today that link for you guys to get on there. And it's basically how to continue to manage your business in these critical times. And so that will be a webinar at 1:30 to 2:30 this Friday. That link will go out to all of you. We would love to have you plug into that. We will probably also send that invite out to all of our past 2 years explosion attendees also. So we would love to have you on that call with us to talk about things that she's seen in the marketplace as she's talking to people around the country. One other thing is I had a call, I believe it was Saturday. Is that right, Shannon, with that doctor in Arizona?
Yeah.
Sometime,
Dr. Amon? No.
sometime, not Dr. Amon. Yeah, I probably need to go to Dr. Amon for my brain. It's a little scattered lately. But there's a doctor, those of you that have been listening to this for almost a year now, we've been trying to get another insurance plan, which is an e-insurance plan. I don't know if Scott's back on here, if you can check on that for me. 736002, Shannon. Shannon keeps popping in Apple ID things. I apologize. And so there's going to be a link that we'll be sending out called redirecthealth.com. And because we are going to be signing up for this, we did get HomeServices to finally approve this program. It's an e-insurance program versus an insurance program, but Mutual of Omaha, Warner Trucking, a number of companies are on this. It's a little looser on its requirements, and it's not running through an insurance program. It's more of like almost kind of like a union group of people coming together. So as information comes out on that, we will get that to you. But there's something there where, and there's a $49 cost if you have to sign up for it. But if you have flu symptoms or coronavirus symptoms, you can get on the phone call them initially. They'll start walking you through some things. If they need to subscribe medicine for the flu or something like that, they'll be happy to do that for you. But redirecthealth.com, we'll send out some information and a link to that, kind of telling you what that is and how that works. But because we are planning on signing up and very close to having that program to roll out to you guys, they're extending this part of the service to us. Can you click doing that real quick? Sorry. Shannon keeps making me lose my screen, which breaks my concentration. So we'll get all that information out to you as soon as we can. Shannon, do you have a note here that you want me to read? Oh, sorry. I didn't know what you okay.
We need to be clear about when agents can go into the VP office.
So agents going into the Village Point office, yes. So again, basically, as of tomorrow, we sanitized that office. If you want to go back into your office, you can. We're asking you, as I said earlier, if you got a private office, go into your office. If you don't need to go in the office and you work just well from home, work from home. If you don't have a private office, go to your cube area, but let's keep distance from the employees. Let's keep distance from the other people. So you can go back in to any of the offices at this point in time, but anyone that's got an office, go and shut your door, keep your distance. Those who don't, please keep distance from employees, from other agents. Let's take this serious. We will continue in all of the offices, which I believe has been being done multiple times a day, to wipe down copiers, handrails, door handles, conference room tables as they're used, and so forth. But we're going to continue down the path where we're not going to allow into any of the offices clients to be coming into the offices. We don't think that makes good sense, just like we're not allowing kids to come in the office. So please, those people you're going to have to go meet at their home if you got to meet them, or off-site, but we want to minimize the traffic we have coming through here. So is there any other questions that you guys have that, or anybody that had any statements that want to pop up? I guess if you want to make a statement, maybe pop something up on the screen and then we can have Gina unmute you. Is there any, Sarah, Heather, Maggie, those of you who've been monitoring the comments, is there any comments that we can unmute you? Is there any comments that you want me to address? Any of you?
Ryan Potter asked to be unmuted.
Oh boy, this could take an hour. All right, Ryan, we're going to do this. You're going to have 62 seconds, okay?
Here we go. All right,
Sounds
Ryan,
good.
you're on.
Hey,
shoot away, Ryan.
I wanted to speak into this because, we had some sellers where Ralph did show a house and walk through, and they were kind of concerned about what they needed to be doing. So with that being said, I talked to my wife, who's obviously a physician assistant in the med field, and she basically said, as long as they're not showing symptoms, then we can't really do anything. She said, we're not going to test anyone that isn't showing symptoms. So if you guys have people that are thinking about, or concerned about, if Ralph showed a house or somebody else showed a house or whatever, and they're freaking out about it, You can tell them, I mean, this is coming from my wife in Nebraska medicine and things like that, but they won't test them unless they're showing symptoms. So just because they're fearful or whatever, because they might have come in contact, they just don't have enough test kits available. So I just wanted to communicate that to everyone if they had questions or things like that. So that's it.
And again, guys, we believe, just so you know, the last time Ralph was in the office was a week ago Friday. My understanding, he didn't go into the title company. He was really on the first floor only. He does have his own copier in his office, so he wasn't using the company's copiers. But again, I'm saying if you got in close contact with him, please inform us. Please self-quarantine. And that's just not Ralph. That's anybody that you know that's tested positive for the coronavirus, or if you've been sick yourself, self-quarantine. So just use common sense on this for everybody. Anybody else? Any other questions we need to attack here, guys? We've actually, I think, covered a lot of information in a timely manner. Gina, is there anything that we've talked about that we need that I missed on my notes here? So I see Sarah, Heather, Maggie, your heads. You've been monitoring questions. You feel good on the we've covered the questions that have been popping. I see things continue to pop up here, but I can't continue to read them. So maybe anything more in the market. I think it's too early to say what's going to happen to the market over the next 30 days. But as I reported early on, much to my surprise, we're going to hit probably close to 1,200 pending transactions in the month of March, which is better than the month of March last year. I would have expected in a healthy market, we would hit 1,300 to 1,450. So hitting 1,200, is 90% of what we would have expected. So the market has continued to be the last 2 weeks as all of this is really kind of ramped up much stronger than I thought. I believe that is highly driven by a couple things. And I will address a question I've had 50 of you ask me, if one of you have asked me, is we're encouraging you, we want you to be calling your entire database. And don't be calling them for the purpose of real estate. Be calling them for the purpose of, how are you doing? I care. Is there anything I can do? Reach out to those people in your database at this point in time, okay? But one of the questions, and then real estate's coming up almost every single time because they want to know, how's this going to affect the real estate market? And we've talked about this in our mastermind groups and we've had some conversation. A lot of people keep asking, well, is this going to be the same thing that's happened in 2008? And my belief is if we can get through this on a timely basis, okay, and that's an unknown at this point in time, but if we can get through this on a timely basis, I do not believe this will have the same effect as what happened in 2008. There's a number of factors that are different. The economy crashed in 2008 was quite honestly primarily caused by the real estate industry, that people were getting bridge loans, they were buying multiple houses, banks were giving loans out at over 100% loan to value. The truth is we were having foreclosures, houses had been overinflated. There was just illogical behavior and the real estate industry was causing the economy to crash. So there was substantially more inventory back then. We have low inventory today. That's one substantial factor that's different. The second thing why we thought interest rates were incredibly low back then, interest rates were 6% back then. Interest rates today at 3.5%, they're staying under 4%, 3.25% is rate I said earlier today. We've sent out, we'll send that out again. Levi, maybe I sent to you and Maggie yesterday. Maggie, I don't know if we got that done. I sent it to you yesterday, give me an update and change kind of that graph that shows the buying power of an interest rate at 2.75 and 3 and 3.5 and 4 and show the difference of how much more people can buy today versus even when interest rates are 4.5. I mean, the buying power that people have today is substantially more than when interest rates were pushing 5% 13 months ago. So I think the dynamics of substantially lower interest rates, and quite honestly, interest rates are about a 60-year low for a home mortgage, low inventory, and there's no builders going out there building that first time, move up home buyer of 225 and below. So low inventory continues that. And the last part is the economy was seriously financially stable. Unemployment was at a 50+ year low. The stock market was at an all-time high. So corporations were hoarding tons of cash. So the economy the underlying aspects of the economy were very solid in this. So if we can get through this on a timely basis and the country can get back to a point, let's call it sometime in June, where we're doing business as normal as whatever the new normal is, I believe that there will be stability in the real estate market. I quite honestly believe that you're going to have investors, both residential and commercial, flock to real estate after the stock market's volatility over the last month or so. You've got to remember that we've never seen anything like this before. And this really is not 9/11. This really is not 2008 crash. It took 274 days for us to go into a bear market in the stock market back then. A bear market is defined in the stock market as a drop by 20%. It took us 24 days. It took us less than 30 days to do a 30% drop. Now we've bounced back. We're not at a 30% loss anymore. But the fear and anxiety that's running through people is making them act irrationally in the bond and stock market. So we need to get through this. We need everyone to be safe. This is a serious threat that we need to take serious. And that's the reason we're putting policies into place of please don't do open houses. Don't bring kids in the office. Don't bring clients in the office. Don't go to your closings. We're not trying to do this to be difficult. But with that being said, because you're not going to have those touches with clients, it makes it more important for you to be reaching out to them in a meaningful way, to show them that you care, to be there to be that source, to become that advisor as attorneys are and financial advisors are and other people in the industry are. So guys, as the stimulus package continues to roll out, we're going to get those links to you. Please, please, please get on there as soon as possible, because if you get your salaries and your rents and those costs covered for a couple months, that's a really good deal. We believe that's what the stimulus package says. So we think that it's going to benefit many of you. So we will be the source to try to get information out to you as this comes out to us as much as possible. But guys, I appreciate this. I think at one time I saw we had 300, we're down to 330 participants, but we were at 370 participants when I looked at earlier. I don't know what we capped out at. And then we have had numerous people, Heather, I guess, and you maybe can pop in on this if we need to, but numerous people talk about Matterports and virtual tours, as we are finding that clearly more people are going online looking at houses. But also we've had a number of people that are self-quarantined, either find someone else in the office to use or use Show For Me. And Show For Me has been a pretty good app. And they're saying that they can even, I'll have them put some information out on that, and I'll have Gina transfer that to us, transfer that to you guys later today as we get more information. But they're even trying to come up where they can do some FaceTimes with the agents that are at home, with the clients here, if the clients have questions as they're walking through there, or some virtual tours or those type of things. So as we get some of that stuff, I see showforme.com just popped up for Mike. So as we kind of get a rundown of what they're doing to trying to help us facilitate making sure that showings can take place for people self-quarantined or don't want to go out because they have underlying health issues or of age or whatever, we'll continue to make sure that we're getting that information out to you too. So we have seen a tick up in the visual tours, the Matterports, the Show For Me. Is that fair, Heather, and what we've heard in some of the meetings we've had?
Yeah, I would agree. I think a lot of them are kind of scared to go out, so they're using the Show For Me app. So the agents that are okay with it are doing it. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, or the Matterport.
Guys, we're over our hour time frame. We're going to continue to, as I said, get updates to you at least 3-4 times a week. We know this thing's going to continue to change. My understanding, I think I saw last night, that basically 60% of the population of the United States is in a stay-at-home, shutdown type of mode. So we're in a little bit of a unique situation here in Omaha. But let's be safe. Please take care of the people around us that we love, our friends and family that have health issues and risks and so forth. So we can get through this as soon as possible and try to get back to our lives. I miss seeing all of you guys, but I do like the Zoom thing with the masterminds and the training classes. Allows us to continue to connect. So any questions that you have, not that I'm asking for my phone to blow up, because there's been days I'm getting 300 plus texts and 50 plus calls. And sometimes I have to send to Gina and others, please quit texting me right now. I'm on a call and I can't concentrate. But you're welcome to shoot me a text. I will get back with any one of you. We love you guys. This is a difficult time. We've never went through this before, but I know we will get through this. So thank you very much. Take care of yourself and your families. Have a great day. Bye-bye.